Hi, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. We're here, midnight meandering. What are we going to talk about? Well, one of the things that I don't hear too many people talk about in life is fulfillment. It just doesn't seem to be there on the list. It's not that it's low down on the list, it doesn't seem to be there. Now when you go to school, the education system such as it is not about fulfillment. It's about, I mean, how many times do you hear that? The American dream say, where you're going to get a job. Well, a friend of mine who didn't think so much of the idea of getting a job used to call it a J-O-B. Yeah, well, you got to have a J-O-B. And so much of what we do in our lives is not about fulfillment. This is what I think about fulfillment. It's an in-the-moment thing. Are you fulfilled right now? And I wonder how many people, if you ask them that question, would be able to honestly say, yes, I am fulfilled. Because it's in the moment. What's the answer to the question? I am. Present tense. It's this moment. I am fulfilled. I am where I should be. I am where I want to be. Boy, it took me years to get to a point where I didn't look up into the sky at the 747 that was cruising overhead at 30 or 35,000 feet and not want to be aboard. If I looked at a ship, and I'd wonder where it was going. I wanted to be, so in other words, I was almost in a state of elsewhere because I didn't want to be where I was. Now, here's the difficulty about being elsewhere, and that is, no matter, if you're never happy with being here and you go over there, as soon as you go over there and arrive there, you're here again. Hence the idea that when you've got baggage is something that you take, it's on your back, it's everywhere you go. Remember that old story about the boy who helped an old man. This is in some I don't know, fantasy area of the planet. And the old man says, can you help me across the river? And he says, how can I do that? And he says, well, let me climb on your back and you can carry me across the river because I can't make it on my own. And so the boy agrees, takes the man onto his back, and of course as soon as he does that, the man's legs tighten around his throat, and now the old man owns him. Sure, they cross the river, but then he can't get rid of the old man. And the story then unfolds about how he finally tricks the old man into getting off his back. So it's a metaphor for our lives. When the drug thing was very, when it was heroin and everybody that you saw, they were doing it with an injection. They had a hypodermic which they had tucked around in their wallet or something, and they would inject themselves, and then gradually their eyes would clear and they'd be in that moment of ecstasy, in which they didn't give a crap about anybody else. So that was where that used to happen, and we would actually be thinking about being somewhere else. Well, the people who are really fulfilled are the people who enjoy this moment for whatever stage of the journey it is. When I was practicing my trombone, I went into the army when I was 15. You could do it back then, 1900 and frozen to death. When I went in, just by chance, this is how funny life can be, I wanted to play the trumpet, and it was that's when I found out what real life is like. I told the bandmaster, I want to be a trumpet player. I said, and he says, well, there's no vacancies. So I said, well, yes, but I've joined the army for 8.5 years, and I want to play the trumpet. There's no vacancies. Are you listening to me? Watch my lips. There's no vacancies. So here I am in a daze of disappointment, and a couple of the kids said, why don't you play the trombone? Not the G trombone, the bass trombone. Don't play that. Now here I am. I just came in from the streets of Manchester, and from being on the cusp of being a coal miner, where I'd done my training and was about to start. I was about to start work at the Bradford pit, and as a coal miner at 15, and fortunately my father saw an ad which said, boys taken in and given complete musical training, no experience necessary, and it was the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders Regimental Band. And so he wrote away and said, will you take my son? Please, take him. You can have him. And the bandmaster wrote back and said, yeah, we'll be very happy to have him. He didn't know what he was letting himself in for, did he? But anyway, so I went down and I took the test and passed it. Well, it wasn't very hard. The test for getting into the army, into the infantry, was you had to have an IQ, but it could be about the level of a dining room chair, you know. So it was either that or going into the IRS, I guess. So I went into the army, and I was given the chance to be a musician. I'd always loved music, had no idea about instruments and what this was, but I saw Eddie Calvert, who back in that days of 1900 and frozen to death, Eddie Calvert was the man with the golden trumpet. So as a kid, what am I going to do? Oh boy, I wish I could play a golden trumpet. Well, there's no vacancies. So the other kid said, play the trombone, that's a great instrument, you know. And I said, well, what does it look like? That's how much I knew. But I started playing the trombone, and here's what I'm trying to get to in my usual long-winded way, is that you have to actually enjoy this moment. For whatever stage of the journey it is, you have to find joy and fulfillment in this moment, because this moment is actually the only one that you have, because the next moment is in the future, and that's not guaranteed. The other moment is in the past, and if you've not found fulfillment in the present, the past will usually be full of regret, which is the most wasteful of emotions. So how do you find this fulfillment? You have to be satisfied with the moment that you have right now, no matter what it is that you're doing. And how did this manifest itself for me when I was a budding trombone player? Was I realized that you had to actually enjoy practicing for whatever stage you were at. Now, that's not the same as my efforts to be a guitar player right now. What I found with my love of the guitar, it's more as an onlooker, as a listener, as a viewer, as someone who is being entertained. I'm the audience to the guitar, I'm not the performer. I keep promising myself that I will, but I haven't found that part of me that enjoys the moment on the guitar for whatever stage I'm at. So I'm still searching for that. I have a beautiful guitar. I have the promise to myself that I will learn, because as I get older, the trombone is not actually any use to me, because it is not so much a solo instrument, because it's not all-embracing. It's not the whole orchestra. It's just a trombone. With the guitar and the piano, keyboards, especially nowadays because they're so technical, you can play the whole thing. And the beauty for me as a singer playing the guitar would be that I could accompany myself. So I'm still trying to keep that promise. But until I find within me a joy for practicing every note, like I actually did when I was learning the trombone, and I became I did become a fine player, but it wasn't what I really wanted to do. So I made company. I became part of the company of people who are good at doing something and get kind of trapped within it. With the trombone, I can never quite let it go. It always follows me, and even now I'm thinking, why don't I get a trombone and then I can just have a little play now and then for myself. But really I should be playing the guitar. But until I find fulfillment within what I'm doing any moment, then it won't happen. So that's something that I'm working on right now, along with learning the Visayan language. It has to be something, when you're fulfilled, it has to be something that you can't wait to start the day. And actually with Beth and I and our mission to help, that's pretty well how we are. We found a mission, it found us, maybe we met in the middle, and suddenly we're helping and we love what we do. It's really true to say that Beth and I, in this mission that has found us and claimed us, we work 24/7. It's what we do when we get up. The time right now is 11:30 p.m. and without looking, I'm going to call to Beth. Beth.
Yeah? What?
What are you doing?
I'm doing the calculations of how much it's costing.
You're doing the calculations of how much it costs.
Yeah, and I log in the logbook all the expenses.
So the calculations of what it costs to do what?
The pregnant house. You know, I logged that today.
See? Now this is not to illustrate that we're wonderful. It's to illustrate to you, if you're listening now, and this is your 11:30 at night, it might be your 11:30 in the morning, or I don't know, might be your 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know where you are on the time zone, but in the time zone of your mind, you need to be in this moment of this is what you love to do. The people that are the happiest are the people that would do whatever they do as a job, even if they were not paid. Now, one of the people that actually enjoy this usually are musicians, artists, pilots, actually, people who fly. People who fly for a living, even if they won millions of dollars on the lotto or whatever, they would still do what they are doing. These are I think these are the chosen people. With musicians, and I've already been talking too long. I have a little clock now on the camera, and it tells me it actually should say, "Can you shut up now, please?" But it doesn't. It just tells the time. But the people that are blessed in this way, in my experience, are musicians. Guess what a musician will do when he works 6 days a week to support his family, and he works playing, say he's playing top 40, But really, in his heart, he wants to play, maybe he wants to play jazz, or he wants to play in a big band which plays great music. What does he do? He's earned his living playing his instrument. And in the UK, on a Sunday morning, in countless pubs all over the country, pubs always have a room upstairs which they have especially for little events, and you can book the room and do it. Well, what would happen is that you'd get what's called a blow band. Now that can be a nasty expression in America, but in England it means people who go to blow their instruments and have fun. And these are all people who've been earning their living during the week, in many cases playing music that they don't particularly like. So what do? They take that damned instrument that they've been earning their living with all during the week, and they go along and they play for nothing. Well, they're not playing for nothing, they're playing for joy. They're playing for fulfillment. And that's what you need to be doing. You want to find your mission? Allow your mission to find you, and you will find fulfillment. Right? 16 minutes now. Oh, for God's sake, why don't I shut up? Thanks for looking in. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Get fulfilled, will you? Bye for now.